I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Give me a nod when I can begin because I've lost you. So today our topic, because we've been, I think, across the continent, there's just been a lot of children that have been going missing. And in my country, it's a cause of concern as well because there's a lot of human trafficking. So we decided that the topic for today would be understanding child safeguarding in schools and homes. And we would just look at different ways and how we can create safer environments for our children. So, I started with a little background that I had from the South African Police Services. And according to the South African Police Services missing persons bureau data in South Africa, which is my country, an average of 1,697 children have been reported missing every year over the past decade, which equates to one report every 5 hours in our country. And unfortunately, the criminology experts say that in many instances, it's relatives themselves who are often involved in the sale of children to human traffickers or other forms due to the widespread of job losses caused by COVID-19 during the COVID-19 lockdowns. Because so a lot of people lost their jobs during COVID-19 in 2020 up until now. People are looking for a fast way of making money. So you find that there's relatives who the children trust and who the parents trust are also involved in selling of our children. So I broke down to a few tips that I researched on how we can actually prevent our children from going missing. So we start with the schools that they go to. How can we protect them at school? It's very important as a parent, wherever you may be, that when you choose a school or a childcare facility for your child, you ask them about the security measures in and around the areas where children learn and play. So these include the security doors and the gates of the school and the policies that also ensure that only a parent or a guardian or someone who's been designated in advance can pick up your child from school. So it's very important that when your child is at school, the security there or the teachers, they monitor the people that pick up your child from that school. And then I went to other care providers because you find that in my instance, I'm a working mom and a lot of parents are actually working. So we do need to employ nannies or helpers to look after our children. We can't avoid that. So because many working parents find themselves having to hire babysitters or nannies to look after their children whilst they're at work, it is unavoidable for us not to hire people to look after our children. It is very important to always check multiple references and ask for recommendations from friends and family members when hiring a house helper or a nanny. There was actually an incident in my country about, I think, 2 years ago, where there was a nanny who was reported on social media who was actually stealing and selling babies. So she'd go around all these houses claiming that she wants a job to look after a child, and then she would steal a child and she was trafficking these children. So parents need to make it clear as well to the child care providers that there should be no circumstances at all where the child is to be left alone in the house or yard, even for a single minute. So those things need to be communicated when you're hiring someone to look after your children. It is very important that you keep the communication channel open. So it's crucial for us as parents to talk to our children regularly and openly about what is going on in their lives, what is going on at school, so that if there's any change of behavior, we can notice it immediately. We need to be open and allow our children to tell us about the things that make them scared and make them uncomfortable or sad, whether this is happening at school or it's happening at home or around certain family members. You need to teach our children the difference between good secrets. So a good secret can be something like when we're planning a surprise party for daddy. That is a good secret. That is something that makes the child feel happy and feel good. And a bad secret is something that makes them feel scared. So if someone is has been touching them inappropriately or has been threatening them and then been telling them that they need to keep that a secret, a child needs to know that that is not the kind of secret that you keep from your parent or from your caregiver. So having an open relationship with them will allow them to trust us and share any problems that they may be experiencing. Veronica, if I'm moving fast, just let me know, ne? Or if there are any questions in between the
Okay,
presentation.
no, carry on. If there are any questions, we leave it in the chat.
Okay, not a problem. And then another thing that has been going on in my country, and I'm sure across the continent, there has been kidnappings at shopping malls. So because we go to the shopping malls and there's cameras there and there's security guards, we always assume that it is safe to go to those malls and we can let our children play around. Most of the time, we even find restaurants where there's play areas outside. And because we've always assumed that shopping malls are safe, you'll let the child go play with the other children there. But lately, it's not that safe. So I covered that as well, that you can keep your children safe in a busy shopping mall by being active and supervising them and actually preparing before you go to that mall. So the key steps include dressing them in bright colors so that you may be able to notice your child from anywhere in the mall. But I wouldn't advise any parent to actually let the child gallivant and not be on by their side in the mall. But should it happen that their child walks in front of them and or runs in front of them, make sure that the child is dressed in bright colors. You need to establish clear boundaries. And what I mean is that you tell your child before you leave home that when we're at the mall, make sure that you're walking next to me. You don't run in the mall, you don't play hide and seek in the mall, you do not talk to strangers in the mall. And then another thing is to teach the children to identify the official security guards of that mall, so that by any chance should they be separated from you, then they know the security guards to go to ask for help from. And it's so important because there's been a lot of people, children and adults, who've been mugged or who've been kidnapped in the restrooms or in the toilets. So you need, as a parent, you must always accompany your child to the restroom. So you can't just let your child go to the toilet and wait outside when they need to use the toilet. And the pre-trip preparations, it's advisable now for parents. I know it seems like a lot, but you need to take a photo of your child. So before leaving the house, you must take a full snap of the full body photo of your child, so that you can have an accurate and up-to-date record of what they were wearing on the day that you guys went to the mall. And then they must also memorize details. So you need to teach your child to memorize your full name and your primary cell phone number, so that should there be any separation and they need to go ask for assistance from the security guards, they can actually tell them your full name and your contact details. So that is very important. And then I covered the keeping them safe from relatives, because, as I mentioned when I started the presentation, a lot of times the people who are involved in trafficking or selling children to traffickers are relatives that we trust. So, as parents, we often make the mistake of assuming that being related to someone equals safety for the child. But unfortunately, as I said, the criminology experts report that relatives are often involved in the abuse or the sale of children for trafficking. So relatives often use existing and emotional leverage to isolate the child. Um, so you need to prioritize maintaining open communication all the time, restrict access to your child, and secure all legal documents. So because a relative, like let's say a cousin of yours, knows that you're a busy working mom and you and your child have been struggling to connect because you've been busy trying to make ends meet, they usually leverage on that and they'll become closer to the child, and they'll offer the emotional support that maybe you haven't been able to offer to your child because you've been working so hard to get the bacon and put bread on the table, and then they become that person who's close to the child, only to manipulate the child and to hurt that child. So you need to make sure all the time that no matter how hard things get, no matter how busy you are, you always maintain a relationship with your child so that there can always be open communication. As a parent, you need to establish strict boundaries. So this means that you need to control contact. So you must limit unsupervised access or unannounced visits from a specific relative if you suspect that that relative has erratic behavior, if you suspect that that person is using drugs, or maybe they predators and they trying to groom your child. So in my personal opinion, I don't think that you even need to suspect another human being of those behaviors. I think as a parent, you need to make sure that you don't trust anyone around your child. It's actually unfortunate that we have to think like that nowadays, but because so many things have been happening to our children, I think you just need to limit unsupervised access and visits from anyone when you're not there, even if you think you trust that person. And then please make sure that there will be no unmonitored travel. So you don't allow the relative to take your child on trips or for them to visit that child overnight, because as well, that will allow that predator to do anything to your child. Um, so another very important thing is you need to safeguard documentation and information from those relatives. So how you secure important records, you keep documents like the child's birth certificate, the passport, and the ID in a locked and inaccessible place, because traffickers, they often need this to facilitate illegal movement or documentation. So as much as we know that most of the time there's people who traffic children, they're working with people at the Department of Home Affairs, and they can do fraudulent documents, but it's important not to make things very easy for them. So try to keep your child's documents, even if you think you trust everyone, but try to make sure that your children's documents are always in an inaccessible place in your home, so that even if people that you think that you trust come to your place, they can't access them that easily. And then you need to control how much information you share with people. So I know it's so easy for us to be sharing our children's routine, the school they go to, and I mean what time they come back from school, but we need to be careful of sharing such information with people. And I would also advise parents, even though I didn't put it in this presentation, that limit how much you post about your child on social media, so people know that your child goes to a certain school. They know that on a certain day they play the certain sport. That information might seem like it's harmless to the ordinary human being, but because we're living in such volatile times, you need to be careful of oversharing such information. And then you need to empower and educate your child. So you need to teach your children the no rule. Your children need to know that they've got a right to say no to adults. So I think when we were growing up in my generation, we were taught to respect adults so much, but things were much different then. There was you know, we could trust the elders that were around us. But going back to the topic, you need to teach your child the no rule. So empower your child with knowledge that their body belongs to them. You need to tell your child that it's perfectly okay to say no, or to yell, or to run away if an adult, even a trusted family members, makes them feel uncomfortable. So a child needs to know that it's not appropriate for certain people to be touching them inappropriately in certain places, and they can say no, and they can scream, and they can run away. And if that adult threatens them and says they mustn't tell anyone, it goes back to what I said in the beginning, that you can teach your child that there are certain secrets which are good, but secrets that make you feel scared or make you feel threatened are not the kind of secrets that you can keep. So again, it says there should be no secrets. So you must explicitly teach your children that family members should not ask them to keep big secrets. Those secrets will involve asking them to lie about where they're going or offering them inappropriate gifts. So if a certain uncle or aunt says that we're going to take a trip together, but do not tell your parents, and I'm going to buy you the bicycle that you've been asking your mother to buy, you need to teach your children that that is not a good secret to tell. And then you need to create a safe word. So, how you create the safe word is because you and your child have this open communication, you can establish a secret word